Yeah, we've got several reports. It's not just in the capital, Ouagadougou, but in several military barracks around the country. There have been reports of shooting taking place this Sunday, beginning at around 5 o'clock this morning and going on for several hours and increasing in intensity. It was, first of all, just sporadic shooting, and then it got slightly more intense afterwards. It's very difficult at the moment to get any concrete information about what is exactly going on. There's been no spokesperson from the military coming forward to talk about it. The government says everything is under control. The Defence Minister, Barthélemy Simpore, has issued a statement saying no institutions have been attacked at the present moment. But this is something that should be taken with, I think, a degree of concern, because there are many disgruntled soldiers in Burkina Faso, and they're worried about the security situation in the country. They're worried about the intensity of attacks by jihadist movements. I remind them, like 2,000 people were killed in Burkina Faso by jihadist attacks in 2021, and this deadly attack, which took place back in November, on the 14th of November, when at least 50 gendarmes were killed. So there is growing unrest, I think, in some of the military barracks, and one of the points that needs to be underlined, just how important that is right now, it's difficult to say, but that in one of the barracks, the Sangouli Lamizana barracks, there is this general who is called General Diendere, who was the former chief of staff of the former president, Blaise Compaoré. Now, he's already been charged with trying to undermine the country and create a coup, and he's also facing trial or involvement in the death of the former President Thomas Sankara back in 1987. So if he is released, or if this blows into something much more difficult and dangerous, then there is a threat to the government. The government, for the moment, is saying, don't worry, everything's under control. This is just a few disgruntled soldiers who are firing, but there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, so some frustration within the ranks of the military. What is a political situation in the country?
So there is growing dissatisfaction with the government at the moment, and calls for the president to go. And there have been a series of protest movements from civil society around Burkina Faso, one of them back in November after that killing in the north of the country I was just talking about, where 50 gendarmes were killed. Both of those protests, the one yesterday and the one back in November, were banned by the authorities. Those protests were calling for the government to take more action against jihadist fighters. They were also calling for support for the coup leaders in Mali, which we were just hearing about in that report by James Andre, and protesting against the sanctions introduced by ECOWAS. So the government has moved in to ban these protests, but that is also something which is, I think, annoying the public more than calming them down by saying, well, look, you can't protest, we've got this under control, which leads one to believe that maybe they haven't got it under the control that they're trying to make people believe they have.
Yeah, and Burkina Faso not alone in being faced with this political instability or extremism instability. There's already concern across West and Central Africa.
Well, yes, indeed there is. And if you look at the situation in Burkina Faso, like 1.5 million people have been displaced as a result of this jihadist uprising going on in the country, which has gone from bad to worse. The military is not able to put down these jihadists. And there is a growing, I think, feeling amongst the government that they're not out of the threat of a coup d'etat in the country, which is why we've seen the way they've been reacting and trying to say that there's nothing happening at the moment. But if you look at what's been going on elsewhere, in Mali, in Guinea, in Chad, and even far away in Sudan, where there have been coup attacks in fairly recent times, I think there is growing jitters amongst the rulers in Burkina Faso that they also might not be safe from another coup attempt. And if you look at what the protesters were talking about yesterday during this banned march, giving their support to the junta in Mali, that is also something, I think, which the authorities in Burkina Faso would be worried about, and that's also why they don't want these protests to go very far.